Great, thank you everybody for joining for the February 18th Audit Finance Committee meeting, Broome County Industrial Development Agency. I will call the meeting to order. First item after call to order is acceptance of the minutes from our January 21st, 26th meeting. If I could have a motion to accept the minutes, please. Kevin, second. Mike, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Next up is public comment. If anybody would like to have up to 5 minutes for public comment to the Audit and Finance Committee, you are welcome to speak. Please share your name and place of residence.
John, Binghamton, New York. There's all these organizations intertwined with this agency, you know, and there's all kinds of names. Geez, I think it's up to a half a dozen. And it's really not clarified what kind, I mean, the Chamber of Commerce, we know what kind of entity it is and know what kind of entity this is, but we don't, all these other logos and brands, we're part of this, we're part of that. Nobody knows what they are. Now, where it got to be serious business is when you started fueling money to these organizations. But I don't know what type of organizations these are. And it seems that you should be more curious and track the funding down. I mean, I think the agency, it's my personal opinion, is the agency and the LDC can handle anything that goes by. And the more the money is dispersed, the more conflicts of interest appear. And this finance is, you know, you go down these rat holes and agendas. And how do you, this is an overreach, not to this group, but just a philosophical question. How do you protect your personal integrity and separate it out from the organization when the organization differs from your personal standards? I'm reminded of, there was a governor of Keating of Oklahoma, and he was appointed to one of these blue ribbon panels to check into child abuse, Catholic Church child abuse. Great guy. 3 weeks later, he says, I'm off of it. These people are no longer interested in getting into the truth of the mafia. That's what he said. So there's a guy that, you know, if you encounter on a board or a commission or whatever, you know the guy's personal integrity is there. So protect your personal integrity and don't go along with things that jeopardize it, because it's the only currency that you have, as long as guys like me are around. Now, if I disappear, if I drop dead, there's going to be nobody checking on you. And you feel free after that point to do whatever you want.
A good reminder. Thank you for that reminder. Happy to report. If you're not here, we'll all continue to have high integrity. Next on the agenda is a review and recommendation of a resolution authorizing the transfer from the Economic Development Fund in an amount of $10,000 to fund a portion of the cost of a hotel market study in the county. Stacy.
Okay, good morning, everyone. One item for consideration today by the Audit and Finance Committee, which is to provide a portion of the funding necessary to complete a Broome County hotel market study. The contracting entity would be Newmark Valuation and Advisory. We have worked with Newmark in the past for market studies, similarly with a market rate rental and as well as a single family housing market study. The purpose would be to commission a market study for hotel and lodging in Broome County. Scope of work would include to analyze the current hotel stock, identify demand generators and amount of lodging demand in the market currently and future forward looking, analyze lodging supply and demand fundamentals in the market by the types of hotels available currently, and identify areas of lodging that are underserved with the potential for additional hotel rooms in that segment of the market. The reason why we feel this is necessary is we have some both qualitative and some quantitative data that the number of total beds in Broome County has decreased over time. Within the last, I'd say 5 years or maybe a little more, there were once about 2,500 beds here to support Broome County, from a tourism, and lodging perspective. That has shrunk down to currently about 2,100. We know, the Quality Inn has recently gone offline, and there's a potential for others to older units to also come offline. So, that being said, there are some interested, developers kind of kicking the tires in the market. While typically this is an item that a single developer would do and pursue for their own development, we think as the county, and the IDA in partnership, we can provide this data to any and all interested developers, for hotel and lodging. The cost of this is $22,500. We have spoken with Broome County and have submitted a request for funds to the amount of $12,500, to which the balance of $10,000 would be paid for by the IDA if approved. So any questions in that?
I appreciate you, sort of asking us a little bit about it and sharing some of the background.
Mhm.
For me, I think it's important that this is a shared cost.
Absolutely.
And then the other piece I like is, that we're going into this not seeking to justify development, so I want to make sure Newmark knows that because we're a development agency, doesn't mean we want them coming back with a report that says, yes. Right, because typically, right, I think, I've seen these reports done, typically banks are requiring a hotel developer to get study. But this is nice because it's gonna be shared for the whole
Correct.
market, and, it's not a justification for development. I think too
Absolutely.
often, that's what it turns into.
I think absolutely, and we did have that conversation with Newmark, and I think some of this is to affirm some of the data and what that data means. Is that data leading us in this direction, or are we currently at where we need to be from an occupancy perspective? And there are very specific occupancy thresholds that really lend themselves to that dynamic of yes, we need more or not. So I think what the product will be very data driven, and any developer who's been in this work with lodging and hotels specifically will be able to interpret that. But it would be very agnostic as to whether or not a development would advance.
So right now, there's a perception that there's a shortage, so now we're gonna try to get the facts.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
is that perception accurate or not?
There
Right?
is, there's absolutely a perception, as well as, again, a little bit of data on just the number of beds that has gone,
Yeah.
that have been
So-
reduced
Yeah.
versus
Right.
increases.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Who are the other participants in the funding?
It would be Broome County.
If we didn't partially fund this, would it still happen?
I don't think so. I don't know that the county was interested. Similarly, I think they felt there was value in the partnership to complete this, a shared cost structure. I don't think any individual municipality is gonna take this on. I think it's because this is a countywide analysis. It would behoove a county level IDA in partnership with Broome County to complete the analysis and make that available to any interested developer.
So as part of that being countywide, you think they'll look at different geographies throughout the county? And so for instance, if they felt there was insufficient hotel rooms in Western Broome, that they would highlight that, or are they looking at it as a whole?
That's a question we did ask them, because there was some interest in, can we sort of zoom into the city of Binghamton? The general thought was our market just isn't large enough to really parse out by municipality. So this would be a perspective on the county as a whole, and what products were currently available and different types of lodging. And is that sufficient to meet current demand or growth, potential growth, if that was what the data came back and said that we're restricted right now based on current inventory.
And so the end result will be available to anybody that asks for it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Otherwise, the individual developer would have to probably get the
Correct.
same thing, but this is, maybe we'll head the problem off before it becomes.
Yeah, I think it does serve in that capacity. It does serve as an incentive if,
Right.
the data is available. I think it's up to the individual developers to make their
Yep.
financial determination if
Yeah.
the data lends them to building or not building, but it would be, as I mentioned, just an agnostic, data-driven document that could be available.
And a bank would accept that, wouldn't it?
Well, so that's
Do
what's,
they
that's
require
what's
their own?
interesting, right? So I think it's important that our contract in New York
Yeah.
needs to be that they will share this
Yeah,
with
cause the,
people that ask for it, because otherwise they shouldn't be able to then sell it to
yeah,
a hotel developer after they did the work for us,
right.
right?
Yeah,
So
right.
I think that's important that as part of the contract, that
And
the study
similarly,
that we do is available for others, and yeah,
And a bank would accept that stuff, probably.
I would think so.
Yeah.
and similarly with the housing market studies, we have made those available
Yeah,
to developers writ large that have requested. Have inquired about is that, does such a market study exist, and if so, can I provide access? And us as a county-wide representation, we've made that available.
Those are work for hire, right? We're the owner of the product,
Correct.
so we really shouldn't be in a position to sell it. You market it.
Yeah, good point, good idea.
Does a study like that just study looking for rooms or other services that we have, like in the downtown city, Binghamton area, like opportunities for large gatherings, dinners,
Yeah.
et cetera,
Um,
any other business?
So I did, because the topic came up in our conversation with Newmark, they do as a separate item, like a conference center would be a separate product versus or meeting venues would be
Sure.
separate. What they will look at is, they will look at the number, the inventory of lodging by type, by class. So they'll look at economy versus full service versus extended stay. They'll look at those and they'll look at the inventory and they'll, I assume, determine if we're deficient in a certain type versus, others. But I don't think this will focus in as much on, as the products, but as serving, venues, venue spaces. It'll be more just based on the class of hotel.
So it's brought before us for recommendation to the full board, so if I could have a motion to accept this
Make a motion.
and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Thank you. I don't believe there's any old business for the finance committee meeting, so